Today we're talking about a Mixolydian, and we're just going to chill out in the depths of the sound. We start with recognizing firstly that the scale is basically D major, but Mixolydian, as we know, is mode 5 of major, so we'll start on D, E, F sharp, G, A, right? The A note of all of the notes from D major scale. A, B, C sharp, D, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, and then A. And if you hear that G for the first time when you're expecting the major scale, that is a completely different, more powerful and assertive resolution from the flatted 7 major chord to the 1 major. It's a really powerful sound, and we're going to explore this today. And we're going to explore it through characteristic chords, right? So if I break down this, you know the scale now, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, and A. But if I break down the scale into 2 different chords, we're going to find quickly that we have between this A triad, A, C sharp, and E, and then G chord, G, B, and D, we have an A, B, C sharp, D in the G chord, E, and then we have an F sharp. Well, the F sharp sort of absent, isn't it? So we don't really need that note in order. This natural 6 is a characteristic tone of another mode, which we'll talk about later. But we have the 2 shapes. We have an A, C sharp, and E, a G, B, and D that basically give us all of the characteristic tones of basically spell out the A Mixolydian mode. And it's not like we need to beat the guitar to get a great sound out of it, a great tone out of it. But we're going to look at, maybe if the guitar is in tune, that would be helpful for you. Be helpful for me too. So we have an A chord shape, the lazy A, open A. We'll just pedal the A note in the bottom of all this for the moment. It's going to sound awesome. It's just going to sound unbelievably powerful. So the first time you rip through this, just make sure we've got a helmet and a chin strap on securely. So we have this G triad, G, B, D. We're going to toggle back and forth between G, B, and D, and A, C sharp, and E. So we have A, G, and then A again. Then we're going back to D or G, but this time we're using an inversion of G. If you've seen my chord rabbit hole videos or any of the other inversion videos on my channel, you will be well versed in this. But if this is something you want to talk about just now, it's basically G, B, and D, taking those notes and just restacking them so that there's a B, D, and a G. We're just reorganizing things so that we don't have to play the same chord in the same place all of the time. Then we're moving that up a whole step because we know G moved up a whole step is an A. Oop, half step. Right there it is. We know that we have a whole step from A to B, same way we have a whole step from G to A. G to A. And then we have G on fret 12 and then A on fret 14 on the D, G, and B strings. All of that happened right there on the D, G, and B strings whilst pedaling that A string. We could also just take a look at the top 3 strings just to provide a little bit more separation from the bass note, which we're going to pedal so that we can retain the sound of A throughout. Here's the A, here's the, this is like the F chord, the top 3 strings of the F chord, right? So we have the second finger curved up and over the B string, curved or arched, we'll use the term arched. And then we have the first finger smeared, or in this case, because we're not rock climbing today, we're actually like playing guitar, so we'll call that a double stop, or something like that. So that double stop moves up a whole step from G to A, B, D, and G again, C sharp, E, and A. So we're hitting all of the chord tones of both chords. And then we're moving to G again, and then A. And then we look for a G again, and then another A. Yeah, yeah. So we have this really cool Now what we're going to do is, we've learned a little bit about transitioning from like, early one day the sun was shining, I was laying in bed. So we've got an idea about where that chord progression will take us in its majesty. And that Mixolydian mode really is just designed to be powerful and rolling, giants in the valley. Think about that kind of thing. We have this nice arpeggio, which is an A7 arpeggio, which we should talk about. We already talked about the scale. Let's talk about the scale, the Mixolydian mode up here. It's not really the most guitaristic, but it gives us a first finger stretch. We get a little exercise today. So we have this second finger on fret 5 in the low E string. 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. And all of my friends love it when I say this. You know, the finger numbers are just so easy. We don't really want to hear the A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G. You know, who cares? I mean, I care. And I know you probably care, but this is just a lighter weight to travel through this process. So we're using finger patterns. 2, 4 on the E string. 1, 2, 4 on the A string. 1, 2, 4 again on the A string, and that's on the D string, and that's where we reach the octave. That octave is another really powerful interval. So we have that 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. And we reach A again. So we have 4, 1, 3, 4. You can hear the bluebird chicks. Yeah, if you don't know the story, it was in my last video. So we have this 4, 1, 3, 4 this time. 2, 4, 1, stretch back. We'll stay in 4th position, but we'll stretch back to grab fret number 3, okay? 4, 1, 3, 4. 2, 4, 1, 2. And then you can grab 4, 1, 2, just to flesh out the remainder of the notes available to us in that position. Okay, so that's the shape. We also have an A7, which is very Mixolydian. We have the 1 flatted 7 and the 3. You could add a 13 and a 9 on the top of it. You could do all kinds of advanced shapes and stuff if you wanted to. But we're really just kind of hanging out here on the scale for a second. We wanted to talk about what to do with melody. So we're going to take a look at that one scale, but breaking it down now, we don't have to play. We don't really have to play that scale. We could just play the A minor pentatonic shape. If you wanted to. going to. We're just going to take a look at how to divide those triads. We're just going to further our adventure. Instead of playing the chords, we can use two different chord shapes to outline our traverse through the scale and creating melody, right? So for example, we can have that A chord, early Monday, we're just going to repeat this idea in our heads. And we're not going to do the transition to the D. We're just going to keep riffing back or vamping back and forth between the A and the G. I'm sorry, the A chord. Here's another point of interest. The A chord and the G, right? So that it's A, C sharp, and E. But this chord really isn't called A anymore. It's not really called, it could be called G chord with A in the bass, couldn't it? Or if we wanted to just keep referring it, making reference to it as an A chord, we could call it an A with a flat 7, with a 9, with an 11 in it. We could call it A11, or A maybe 7 sus, A add 9 and 11. We could call it A sus 4 add 9. You know, we could call it a number of different things, but I would just say A with, or G with A in the bass, right? Which is implicative of the G major texture or sonority, the G major sound all together, right? So G major or the A Mixolydian sound, right? So the G chord with an A in the bass immediately to me in most situations would sort of imply that there's a Mixolydian sort of flavoredy flav going on. Okay, so we have this A and then G with A in the bass. Now what we're going to do is take a look at how to, instead of just playing chords with that all the time, we can work on melody. So we have A, and then we can move up to D, with C sharp at the top of that shape. We have a D at the top of the next chord shape, the G. We're alternating back and forth between G and A, right? So I'm going to walk right up, and you're going to follow me if you're so inclined. We're going to take our time here and just kind of look at where the melody is, right? I've got that C sharp, got that D note in there, that E note, that F sharp doesn't exist between those two chords, so we'll just use that as a stepping stone to get to the next G, F sharp, G, to the A, and then to the B, and then to the C sharp again. Okay, we can have a lot of fun with that. We could also just kind of play the same thing that we were just doing. On the top 3 strings. And you can see, hopefully, how I'm outlining the chord shapes to try to sweep into the next melodic note. You had a lot of fun with this particular guitar session. I know I did. I know it's a really important thing to be able to find a new ground. It's great to be able to understand the garden that we have and grow and plant, sow and maintain and then harvest. But maybe that's our job, just to be corn growers for the rest of our lives and just get really, really good at it. And there are some who specialize in one area, and God bless those people. There are some who are just generalists and want to explore a little bit of everything, which is great. And then that's how we sort of find our own way, our own voice, our own sort of approach to the guitar, or anything in life for that matter. So I would encourage you to check through, just to play through a little bit of this Mixolydian stuff. Just so much fun to just explore new territory and discover new possibilities with characteristic chords of each mode. So thanks for hanging out today. I'm Jason Carey, your guitar tutor and friend. And until next time, happy picking.